Hey, what's up YouTube? This is Youth Man. Today was a really fun day for me. I invited a friend over to help me compare the Klipsch RSW-15 subwoofers to the SVS SB-16 subwoofers. Now before we get into the video, if you're into home theater, audio and video, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell notification so that you'll be notified when the next video drops. Alright, so I invited Kyle over. This was his first time to my home, and so the first thing that we did before we came into the theater room was check out and demo a few songs on the SVS Ultra Towers. Now, Kyle really enjoyed that because he had never heard any of the towers. Now in his living room setup, he has the Klipsch RF7s along with the RC7 as well as some surrounds. And for subwoofers, he has the PB13 as well as the larger PB16. So he was familiar with the SVS sound and it was really grateful to hear the Ultra Towers as he had never done that before. So we had a good time doing that. Then we headed on into the theater room so that we could begin to devise a plan on how are we going to compare the SVS SB16s to the RSW-15s. Now before we got into any comparison, I wanted him to hear the new Klipsch RF7 version 3s, the new Klipsch RC64 version 3, as well as the dual SB16 Ultras. Now he had never heard any of those speakers, and so I was pretty excited about that. So he had brought over the movie Super 8 and he asked me to jump to the train scene. I'd never seen the movie, and so we cranked it up and this room was going nuts. The highs and the detail from the speakers were fantastic. The lows from the subwoofers were incredible. And so we had a good time just demoing them and listening to them. That's an incredible setup right there. But what I was really wanting to hear was how my Klipsch LaScalas, because that's what's going to still remain behind my screen, along with either the 4 Klipsch RSW-15s or dual SVS SB-16 Ultras. And so the first thing that we wanted to do is I wanted him to hear how do the LaScala sound with the RSW-15s, because that's my current setup for this theater room. So as you've seen in my previous videos, we were able to slide out the cabinet. I can climb back in there. I unhooked the RF7 version 3s, the RC64 version 3s, and unhook the SB-16 Ultras from my receiver, as well as the Parasound Halo A52 Plus that I'm reviewing, and connected back my LaScala Trio and my Klipsch RSW-15s. So that was our baseline. We wanted to hear how does a movie sound with the Klipsch LaScalas as well as the Klipsch RSW-15s. So we did not rerun Odyssey because Odyssey is turned off, but we did go in and tweak some of the settings as far as the levels. Because one thing that we really wanted to make sure is that each time that we reviewed a different system or a different set of speakers, we made sure that we level matched all of the speakers to the same volume. That's the only way that would make it fair. So we went into the Onkyo menu, went down to the level adjustments, and we used my dB meter, my Radio Shack dB meter, to make sure that each Klipsch LaScala, each one of my Klipsch RS62 version 2 surrounds, as well as the 4 RSW-15s were at the same volume level on the dB meter. So once we had that, we cranked the receiver up to -10 dB on the receiver. So those were going to be our baselines. We were going to make sure that we had those settings set every single time we made any change to subwoofers or speakers. And so we listened to that demo. Of course, the room just is massively shaking. There's a lot of LFE in that movie. If you haven't seen Super 8, go check it out. Get to the train scene. I think it's like scene 3. Fantastic scene. It's incredible. And so we watched that and it was awesome. Sounded amazing. So the next thing that we wanted to do is find out how do the SVS SB-16s compare to that. And so instead of removing all 4 and then putting the 2 SVS speakers back there, we wanted to see how does one SVS sub sound to one RSW-15. So on the right side, we removed the 2 Klipsch RSW-15s and we replaced that with one of the SVS SB-16s. Then what I did is on the left side, I turned off the top Klipsch RSW-15. So now we only have one RSW-15 going up against one SVS SB-16 Ultra. So again, we go back into the menu We made sure each speaker was level matched. One thing that I did find out, setting the SVS Ultra at -10, which is kind of where we left it, we had to increase the trim or the audio level in the receiver in my Onkyo of the SVS up to +8 to get to the same volume as everything else. Now my receiver goes up to +12, so it's getting near the top end of that. So there wasn't much headroom, but that's what we had to do to get it to the same level as everything else. The RSW-15 was set at 0 dB on the receiver to get to that same level. So now that we've got both subwoofers calibrated to the same volume as the rest of the speakers, we turn off the SVS subwoofer. We play that same scene listening to just one RSW-15, and there was definitely a pretty good amount of tactile bass. You could feel it in your chest. Wasn't near as much as having 4 subwoofers, but it was still really good. So then we finished that. I turned off the Klipsch subwoofer and turned on the SVS subwoofer. We go back through that same scene, and to be honest with you, I really was hoping for more. I was hoping to at least get the same amount of volume and pressure in this room and depth that I got with the RSW-15. Now, one thing I realized is when you only have one subwoofer, sometimes you end up getting what they call room nodes, and I've talked about those in my previous video, or nulls. And basically what this is when bass is traveling around your room, bouncing around, sometimes 2 waves can hit each other and create a null, or basically a lack of bass. So I wanted to make sure that that wasn't the issue. And so we would switch spots, and sometimes I would move around the room to make sure that I just didn't happen to sit in a null. And that wasn't the case. We had pretty good bass response, at least from these 2 seats, and we walked around a little bit. So we listened to that scene, and that was fine. So now we needed to find out, will the dual SVS SB-16s give me enough pressure in this room to make me want to upgrade to them versus my older Klipsch RSW-15s. So we removed the Klipsch RSW-15s. Now we take the second SB-16, install it behind the screen, as you can see in this picture. We go back into the Onkyo menu, make sure each subwoofer is set up the same volume as the rest of the speakers. Go back to the same Super 8 scene, play it, and man, I was really wanting them to just totally wow me and totally impress me. And although they sounded good, they definitely dug deep, I just didn't get that pressure that I'm used to with having the 4 Klipsch RSW-15s. And so we thought through, is there anything that we're missing? Frequencies are the same, crossovers are the same, levels are the same. We tried moving around the room again, and it still wasn't the same as what I'm used to with the 4 Klipsch RSW-15s. And so we had plenty of discussion after that, because both of us had incredibly high expectations. Now, don't get me wrong, they sound fantastic. They really do. They're incredible speakers. And if you've seen in my previous video when I did the unboxing and some other videos on the SB-16, I love everything about these speakers, man. I'm looking at them. I love the way they look. I love the fact that they're new. I love the fact that they're beautiful. They've got incredible style and design. I love that they've got some incredible excursion. I love that you can control these with the app. Those things are incredible to me, and I was really, all right, don't tell my wife, but I was really wanting to upgrade to these. I was hoping that these were just spank my Klipsch. Not that I've got anything against Klipsch, of course, because I love the sound of Klipsch, but I was really ready to get something better. I'm ready to upgrade. And honestly, these just didn't do it for me. Now, I know a lot of you guys in the comments expressed, Michael, why in the world didn't you go with the PB-16, which is the ported version? It's a much larger cabinet. It has a lot more output. The problem is with my setup, I need to have subwoofers that can sit behind my 150-inch acoustic transparent screen. And unfortunately, with the PB-16 Ultra, they just blow too much air. If I were to put dual PB-16s behind my screen, I'm afraid that screen would turn into a sail. so it would just be an absolute crazy flag waving in the wind kind of thing. And so that's just not going to work. The way I've got my theater set up, I really don't have much room in the front to put subwoofers. I definitely don't have room in the back. The only other areas I could think of is maybe do a cylinder sub in the corner or cylinder subs in there, if that would be a difference in sound or an upgrade. I might be able to have the PB sitting on the side walls, but then that's going to impede some of the walking area. Not to mention, it might interfere with getting to the cabinet or access behind the cabinet. So those are some things I'm going to be thinking through to see if maybe the PB Ultra would be an option here in my theater room. But guys, I was so looking forward to saying, yes, these things are ridiculous. They at least meet the level of the RSW-15s, but in our testing, they did not. So at least for now, I'm going to be keeping the RSW-15s. Maybe there's a subwoofer down the road that will outperform them, and then I'll be able to switch to them. But as of right now, looks like they're staying for a while. Unfortunately, during our testing, we did figure out that one of my RSW-15 looks like the amp probably went out in it. Now, granted, these are 15-year-old subwoofers, so you know that can happen with any subwoofer, but one of those is out. So now I'm down to 3 RSW-15s, but they absolutely pressurize this room like crazy. And they also don't shake my screen, at least from what I could see. One thing I can say about the SVS, when we're playing just the single SB-16 with the lights on, we could see the screen waving literally at the top. You could see that it was blowing the air, or at least vibrating that. Now when we turned the lights off, we didn't see it. We couldn't tell that it was actually moving, so it might not be a distraction during a movie, but with both of those playing, we never saw it, but we did see it with the lights on. So that was one of the deciding factors too. I really don't need speakers that are going to be behind my screen that are going to cause that screen to shake or to wave. But all in all, man, it was an incredibly fun day. Kyle's a super nice guy. He was super helpful. He's a big old dude, and so he was like able to carry most of these subwoofers by himself, and he's moving them around. He's like, man, just tell me what to do. I'm here to help, and let's just have some fun doing this. And so we tried all different types of scenarios. We did a bunch of different testing, and we just had a great time together. Both of these subwoofers, the SB-16s, are incredible. The Klipsch RSW-15s are still incredible. For a 15-year-old subwoofer, man, they absolutely are amazing. They rock. I wish Klipsch would come out with a new version of that. The biggest subwoofer they have right now is the R115SW, which from what I've heard is an amazing subwoofer. I'm just not sure it's the caliber of the dual 15-inch in the RSW-15 series. Well guys, that's going to wrap up this video. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. If you're interested in other SVS videos that I made, you can click on this video right here. This is a playlist of all the SVS videos that I've made. I know you'll enjoy those. So guys, be blessed, and we'll catch you in the next video.